One Piece Chapter 1119 just dropped, and not only Bonney is now in Gear 5th and able to use armament haki, but it seems JoyBoy speaks for the first time, saying, Emeth, the time has come. Emeth is of course the name of the giant robot that appears in front of Luffy and the others in an epic scene where it punches a Gorosei. Additionally, we get more information about the Ancient Kingdom and the inherited will of the D, which includes characters like Monkey D. Luffy, Marshall D. Teach, and Trafalgar D. Law. For the one in the middle, we still don't know if he's a true D or not, because Whitebeard.Marineford said he was not the one Roger waited for. Chapter 1119 is titled Emeth, essentially the name of the ancient robot. If it seems unfamiliar, that's because this is the first time the name has been mentioned during a dialogue with JoyBoy, where he tells the giant robot that the time has come and he has something to do, but we'll get soon into that. The cover features Yamato, who is on her way to Kibi, getting pelted with stones by angry people who hate Kaido. This was expected considering that Yonko Kaido terrorized the country for 20 years. People couldn't eat properly, couldn't find a moment of happiness, and even their history was hidden by him. Not to mention, Wano is a closed country, meaning they didn't have access to the outside world, and people couldn't leave because of the huge waterfalls. As we know, Wano is elevated many meters above the current ocean level. To get there, one must somehow ride the currents of the waterfall. We return to the Labo stratum, where Kaku tells Tusi to get out of there. He says he knows what he has to do next. Friends, don't make me laugh. As a cold-hearted colleague, I've respected you, but if Lucci gets here, I won't be able to stop him. Stussy cries as she looks at him, while he shouts for her to leave, with a very sad face as we can see. Meanwhile, on the giant ship, Bonney, now in Gear 5th, and Luffy laugh uncontrollably, saying that things just got interesting. Once again, we see those visualized sound effects on the screen, symbolizing the heartbeats of both Luffy and Bonney in Gear 5th. The Marines say, "That's Straw Hat Luffy," and that he currently looks identical to his wanted poster. It seems many people don't understand why he had that new poster and what was with his form. For example, when Bonney met Luffy and asked about the poster, he said it was the form in which he is the freest possible. Bonney then replicated that form, not to mention Lucci, who asked the same question and then got the Nika treatment firsthand. But one person who wasn't puzzled by this form was Shanks, who, looking at the poster, remembered all his moments with Luffy. Somehow proud that he not only reached 3 billion berries, but also obtained the Nika fruit form. It's no coincidence that Shanks stole the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, at that time known as the Gomu Gomu no Mi, from the Marine's ship, and it somehow ended up being eaten by a child who is not only the adoptive brother of the Pirate King's son and his older captain, but also the grandson of Garp, who was the main rival of his former captain. And he also has a D in his name, somehow keeping JoyBoy's will of freedom alive. The giants all cheer for Nika, but Mars spoils their fun, saying, "Two Nikas is just a trickery done with the Toshi Toshi no Mi, don't get carried away." Luffy then tells the giants that even if they completely destroy him, he would regenerate. While saying this, he transforms into a giant balloon, as Mars shoots flames at him. We see Luffy screaming in pain and asking the others to hit him. Sanji and Frankie understand that their only chance is to make a run for it. Bonney is shocked, and Dory puts all his faith in them, while directing the giant pirates to extinguish the flames. Luffy, in a very strange Gear 5th form, grabs Mars, who is momentarily stunned. Sanji prepares to attack, saying he has to do his duty, while Bonney makes a giant Gear 3rd fist, seemingly imbuing it with armament haki, something we didn't know she could do. Even though she replicates Luffy and according to Mars is just a fake Nika, she can still use elasticity combined with haki. She hits Luffy so hard in the back that his eyes pop out of their sockets. Bonney's eyes also pop out similarly to Luffy's, shocked that Luffy is in pain. Luffy screams in pain and says that of course it hurts. Using armament haki cancels out the fruit's power. The others tell Bonney not to hold back and to hit Luffy as if she wanted to kill him. Luffy yells at the top of his lungs while Bonney hits him again, but this time it seems that Luffy uses armament haki on his back to avoid the pain. He then sends Mars flying, who, like the Team Rocket, is launched into the sky and the star appears. The giants prepare to leave and Luffy wonders where Usopp and the others are. Sanji responds that they should fall from the sky any moment. Atlas says she's leaving, telling Lilith that York is watching them. The ancient robot sinks into the ocean while Vegapunk's message continues, saying something about a member of the D-Clan, probably referring to Luffy, Emu or Blackbeard. On Whole Cake Island, Big Mom's pirates, now possibly led by Katakuri, watch Vegapunk's message, shocked that the transmission continues and wondering what he's talking about. Vegapunk says that what has been inherited can be considered will. Vivi and Morgans also witness the message. York says the message was only temporarily interrupted, and the circuits for the transmission and storage are separate, so the transmission can't be stopped unless the snail is completely destroyed. In the transmission, Vegapunk hopes the message reaches those dedicated to the cause. In the background we can see Gaimon, the goat, with his partner Sarfunkel. Luffy is amazed as stones start falling from the sky as if it's raining. At the same time, the ocean still seems elastic or shaken, similar to the last chapter where Luffy affected the surroundings by entering Gear 5th. It turns out agents from Cypher Pole are falling from the sky, needing to be caught or they'll die. Luffy realizes that they are being vomited by the giant worm, Jupiter, who is heading straight towards them. Jupiter notices them and starts inhaling to draw them in, which the giants also notice. Despite having moved away from the coast, Jupiter pulls them back, prompting them to furl the sails and drop the anchor. Luffy, still nervous because Jupiter swallowed him a few chapters ago, punches Jupiter directly in the mouth. The giants continue to cheer Nika while the vice admirals think this is a crazy dream. White giants and CP agents falling from the sky? Mercury also appears, passing right by Luffy and heading towards the ship. Luffy warns that his skin is very tough and that they should flee or the ship will be completely destroyed. Mercury leads towards the ship and nearly hits it. Bonney, apparently exhausted in Sanji's arms, says that freedom is exhausting. While Luffy and the giants observe something under the ocean, we hear a voice saying, "JoyBoy." At this moment, the giant robot emerges from the water, basically punching off one of Mercury's horns. In the background we can hear JoyBoy's voice saying, "Listen carefully, Emeth, the time has come." As people react to this attack, Emeth the giant wonders, "The time has come?" The giant's eyes pop out of their sockets, and Luffy's eyes sparkle as he shouts, "The robot! Oh my!" Before we delve into what JoyBoy said, it's crazy to think that with just one punch, the giant robot, which we can now call Emeth, practically severed Mercury's horn, something we thought was nearly impossible. Luffy in Gear 5th tried numerous attacks on it, such as Red Rock and other, but each time it resulted in Luffy hurting himself, inflaming his hand or simply not causing any damage. Now, the giant robot not only withstood Mercury's attack but also delivered probably the strongest punch in the entire series. The question is, how did Emeth manage to deliver this punch, and what does the name Emeth truly mean and symbolize? Let's start with the second part. The name Emeth has a very interesting mythological connotations that coincidentally tie into the events so far. In Hebrew, the word Emeth means truth, which ties not only to the current storyline where Vegapunk reveals the truth, with the ancient robot being the source that allowed him to discover much of that truth, but also the last remnant of the ancient kingdom, or the old world. Moreover, these last words addressed by JoyBoy have a strong connection to all of this, but we'll get into that in a moment. Emeth also perfectly ties into the legend of the golem. In this legend, a golem, an anthropomorphic creature made from inanimate matter, is brought to life by having the word Emeth written on its forehead. According to the legend, when the giant becomes uncontrollable, the first letter is erased, leaving the word Meth, which means death, thereby deactivating the golem. This legend directly connects to One Piece. The giant robot made from inanimate matter named Emeth, meaning truth, translates to a guardian of secrets, a bearer of important messages, just like the giant robot is carrying Vegapunk's message that turned the world upside down. Additionally, the way the robot is activating and deactivated could be a direct indication of how the giant woke up after 200 years of slumber, and how it was deactivated in the first place. Now that the robot remembers JoyBoy's words, a certain time has come, likely the time when JoyBoy returns, which is the present through Luffy. This ties up perfectly with the first time it woke up and spoke, apologizing to JoyBoy. The question is, were those apologies addressed to JoyBoy in the present, or are they part of the conversation from the past that we saw in this chapter? We know quite well from Vegapunk that the Void Century was a century of wars that affected the entire world, and these 100 years of battles ended with JoyBoy's death, the day that poneglyphs were spread, and the ancient weapons were ensured to be passed on to the future generations. Alongside the 4 red poneglyphs, which seem much more special than the regular ones as they led to Laugh Tale, where Roger learned everything about JoyBoy, meaning that in his dying moments JoyBoy set in motion a plan to ensure his victory someday. Vegapunk mentioned an inherited will, meaning JoyBoy lived on through the will of D, and somehow he made Emeth a part of his plan. Emeth was activated and created in my opinion by JoyBoy, who gave him the name and energy. This is why the robot resonates with Gear 5th, and is only activated in the form of that transformation. Similarly as in the myth, if you remove the first character from his name, the robot dies, just as in One Piece if you don't have Nika nearby, the robot shuts down. But the question remains, how did it manage to destroy Valkyrie's horn? The answer is simple. Through Haki. I believe that besides the forms we've seen so far, there is also a superior level, one that, like the Gorosei, allows complete regeneration or indestructibility, along with communication through the voice of all things, telepathically. Shanks illustrated such a feat when he appeared on the coast of Wano, communicating through his Haki with Admiral Grimbull, implying that the Gorosei's weakness and strength derive from Haki or a power we don't yet understand, and that the ancient robot possesses and will reveal. Also, another thing I noticed is that everyone tied to the Void Century has the voice of all things advanced. Zunisha could talk to both Luffy and Momonosuke during Wano, and the robot resonates with Gear 5th and talks through the voice of all things. Not to mention the Gorosei. If you like my content, be sure to subscribe because I post these videos every single week. And we'll see us in the next video. Sayonara.